All right, everybody, and we are live. K-Pro, can you hear me?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Well, I'm going to play this, probably the most important time we've ever played this. And that is breaking news that, you tell them, K-Pro.
We had a really interesting day. So we probably need to start from the beginning. Don't you think?
Yeah. So I guess I'm glad we went live yesterday because we had to put all this in the same video. It would have been a heck of a long video. So we did a video last night about GPS coordinates in FORREST FENN'S poem. Some of the words sound like numbers, like TO for 2 or TOO for 2. But what I didn't mention, and I probably should have, is that there are 9 of those coordinates, 9 clues, 9 coordinates, maybe. We don't know. But the area was north of Shoshone Lake. And the reason we got sent those GPS coordinates in the poem, we got sent that solution from an anonymous source. Okay. Somebody sent it to us. And of course, we had a lot of emails sent to us where people say, this is the solution. K-Pro's got 25 people that say they're the ones that found the chest. We usually dismiss them all. This one we did not dismiss because there was a timing factor that made sense. I guess that's the way to say it, right? There was something that they knew ahead of time that happened where we thought, oh, that's interesting. Maybe they understand or they know what's going on.
Yeah, because there's the one thing that I said to people, and I said to a lot of you that sent me, I think there was 40 of you that told me that you had the treasure chest. I'd say, give me some sort of proof. So the some sort of proof started to come through when we got confirmation of the finder putting out his article. We got that information beforehand. And we did get some pictures. The pictures didn't actually have the treasure chest in them, but they had some pretty interesting backstory to it that seemed to start to put together some things. So when I said there's 1 or 2 that are kind of, I'm still listening to, this was 1 or the 2 that I was still listening to.
And we just started to think, well, what if they're right? And we looked at the GPS coordinates in the poem, and it makes sense to us, especially after that scrapbook. And there's Christopher. I was here chilling with the kids, and all of a sudden it was breaking news, like we got to go live. And sorry that I let it sit there for 20 minutes, 30 minutes, but I didn't want to try and do a link. There's Mr. Joel Lewicki. I didn't want to try and do a link. Clickbait. You'll see, Joel. I didn't want to try and do a link and then go live and it's on a different link and everybody's wondering what's going on. I just wanted to give everybody a time to get in here who's interested in watching this. We believe we have proof. We believe we have definitive proof. But of course, the searcher community can make the decision.
You guys.
So we anonymously got emailed these GPS coordinates in the poem. The key word was paddle, as in the word add in paddle. You had to add the numbers that were on the same line. Paddle up, add up the numbers. Those do give you a GPS coordinate that lands you right inside Yellowstone National Park. So K-Pro, tell them what you did today.
Well, so let me even go back a little bit. So at the beginning of the week, we had the GPS coordinates, we had pictures, and we had some confirmation that this person had information that seemed to come out before the finder was giving it to us.
Rough timeline, but yeah, not exact, but rough timeline where it made us take notice and look at it again.
Right. And so then that's when Cynthia was like, I have a 3-4 day window. Do you want to go to Yellowstone? And she had also gotten some other confirmation through these divining rods or something. I don't know. I didn't get into that too much, but I said, heck yeah, I will go. This literally all came together in like 12 hours. Kind of sworn to secrecy. That's why I know a lot of you wanted to come and we met up with some and a lot of that, but this was really kind of a project that we wanted to see. We wanted to get the confirmation. So now fast forward, Cynthia and I are going up. We have some of this other confirmation. We're trying to put this all together. So we went out day 1 to that GPS location. And, oh, by the way, Cynthia said, Justin might still be in the area. And I said, awesome. I think we can trust him. We gave him some information. He decided to join us with the other confirmation pieces that we have. So now we have Justin, myself, and Cynthia. We went out for the day yesterday and we did not get confirmation as we needed it to be. meaning we did not find the locations that we had pictures of. We did not basically find what we wanted. So we decided just to go live yesterday and put out, here's this solve. Some of you loved it, most of you hated it, but we got enough, a little bits of information, some nuances, some things that we went, hold on a second, we're going back out today. We went back out
And
today.
people are already saying BS. People are already saying you can't
Yeah.
prove anything, blah,
It's
blah,
a
blah.
threat.
All I will say is this.
We know.
All
We
I
knew.
will say is this: Cynthia and Justin have more boots on the ground than anybody. And for them to believe it, and I'm not going to speak for them, they can come
Oh
on.
no, they're going to come on in a little bit. And
For
here's the
them
cool
to
part.
believe it, that leads credence to it, in my opinion.
If
They
it's
have
just
more
crazy
invested in it.
K-Pro, I mean, she's doing it for clicks, but Cynthia and Justin, I mean, Justin's YouTube channel has 7 million people on it. So what? Oh, that's right. It doesn't. So that's the big thing. This was closure for us. And I can tell you, all three of us believe it for different reasons. We have closure. I wanted to share it with you all to be able to say, okay, this is what we found. If you look at it and say, no, that's okay. We just wanted to share. I can tell you, I have had at least 300 people message me. This is the only one that I am saying, maybe it's a huge coincidence, all these coincidences, and that's fine.
I can't.
This is for me enough. If it's not for you, hang on to your New Mexico solve. I don't care.
It's definitely not a joke. Walter White just says this is a joke. It's definitely not a joke. It's not a setup. Now, could we be set up? Could somebody have made us believe something that's not true and they're trying to set us up? I guess we have some proof you guys might want to be.
Right.
You guys stick with us. We're going to lay it all out there. You
Yeah.
guys make your own decision, but we have something that,
GPS.
yeah, that's right, Chris Hurst. It is in my opinion. You're right. But we think you'll believe just like we do. All right. And I guess the next question, K-Bro, a more overall question is if this is the right location, if this is actually it where the treasure was found. And also let me explicitly state, we do not know who the finders are. We do not know who the finder is, who the finders are. We do not know any of that info. That's not what we're trying to say. But if this is actually the location, why would we share it with everybody, K-Pro? Give your answer, then I'll give my answer. Why do we think it's important to share it with the community?
For me, it's just the closure piece. I think as much as I was a hunter, I'm not as much of a hunter as the responsibility to everyone else. So I think it's our responsibility to put out what we put out to the community. I can tell you, as Justin and I and Cynthia were coming back, I went, gosh, I feel so much better than I used to. And Cynthia went, I'm going to sleep well tonight. This was closure. And again, it might not be closure for any of you. So, and if you don't want the closure, just drop off and you don't need to watch it. This is just another crazy idea. Maybe there's enough evidence for me. There's enough evidence for Cynthia. There's enough evidence for Justin. That was enough that we said, we're going to put it out. And if it makes you feel we're crazy, that's okay. If you think you can sue us for the information, we have it's anonymous, so you can't. We worried a little bit about the crazies, but you can't live with just sitting with crazies. So that's my answer.
Okay. And I would just say for myself, Forrest always said he would leave it up to the finder about the location and about the solution. Okay. I believe the finder should put it out, and they probably will. They're just trying to do it their own way, whatever that is, and they can do whatever they want. But just because somebody else was able to put it together doesn't mean I can't put it out or we can't put it out. Right. I think the community's owed a solution. Whether you believe in the solution or not is up to you. I think it's clever. I think FORREST FENN was a genius to double encode the poem this way. Here's the other thing. If this solution is correct, which it is, this location, I should say, now we can reverse engineer what the clues were. We can reverse engineer.
And I think we have. And Randy helped with that. I'm sorry.
Yeah, Randy's video. And K-Pro, I will just say you saw the blaze today, correct?
We believe we saw the blaze today, and we believe we have all of the yeah, okay. We're going to show some pictures in a second.
Yeah. We're going to lay it out, everybody. Don't think we're going to just end it.
Yeah, we think we saw the blaze today. That's what we needed to confirm to find the spot. We believe we found the blaze, and so you needed to have the 9 locations, but that's a general solve. You needed to have the exact solve, and the exact solve was the GPS coordinates.
Because a lot of people probably didn't see our show last night. When Forrest made comments like, it will lead you, 9 clues if followed precisely will lead you to the treasure chest. Trying to find an ambiguous area of where warm waters halt is not precisely. GPS coordinates are precisely to an area.
Right. Right.
The person who finds it will walk with confidence and wonder what took me so long. Scrapbook 107. We're not going to go into it here, but look at Scrapbook 107. He's hinting at GPS coordinates in the poem. And I don't know if I should show that real quick, the poem with the GPS coordinates, or do you just want to go into where it was, April?
You can, but let's tee it up in a short order so then we can jump
Okay.
right into what we found. And each of us have, I think it's solidified for us in very different ways. So we're each going to kind of make our statements of why it works for us. And again, it might not work for you. It works for all three of us. And we're three very, very, very different searchers.
Right.
So
So here, let me just show the poem. And this is what we went over last night real quick, just for people who are like, what GPS coordinates? What are you talking about? There are words in the poem that sound like numbers. 2, T-O-O is number 2. T-O is 2. 4 is 4. Also, there are words in the poem that have a number in them. The O-N-E is 1 in done. 4 in effort. 10 in listen. The word that's key, in our opinion, was paddle, because you have to add up these numbers when they're on the same line. So 1-1 is 2. 2-2 is 4. 4 is just by itself. 2, 4-2 is 6. And look how many numbers are in the poem when you do that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. There are 9 GPS coordinates in this poem when you do them this way. 9 clues. If followed precisely, it'll lead you right to it. I also believe you could solve it. I also believe we could solve it by finding where warm waters halt, by taking it in the canyon down. But when everybody sees the location, they can reverse engineer this all day. I think FORREST FENN'S a genius, and he double encoded his poem, where there are 2 different ways that you can go to the final location. That's my opinion.
Okay.
Those coordinates are right here: 442600 north, 110 422 west. Okay, that's how this location was arrived upon. Go ahead, Kate.
Yeah. Well, and the big thing is we literally just got back. So we have a couple of pictures to show. I have tons of video and tons of additional information. Guys are going to get that when I get back, but we wanted to show. So remember, we have pictures and confirmation before things had come out. So we were basically looking for an exact location at that GPS coordinate that would match that information from an anonymous person that obviously knew enough that we got information timed in a way that they're more than a random person's rooster. So if you look at, so do you want to bring up the first? Well, I will say first, we walked a lot just trying to find this. The GPS coordinates, there seems to be something just a little off, and that's the reason I think.
Tell them longitude was off by 10 seconds.
Longitude was off by 10 seconds. They did a lot of conversions. They did a lot of stuff. This is Cynthia and Justin.
And again, in a future video, we can kind of go over the details. Like
We're going to go
you have a lot of
over
video. There will be videos we'll make later. You guys should subscribe. But for now, we just want to show you the location, right? Is that kind of the gist? Okay.
Right. And so basically we kept going and we kept going. We knew that we had the couple of pictures of the hidey spot. We had both the pictures, and then we had lodgepole pine trees and a specific way the shade and sun was going. So that was enough for us to just start hunting. And we did it all day yesterday. We went into a couple different locations because we did do what Randy was saying about the 0.2 and converting it from decimal to whatever. We did all of that. So we got to the spot that we really thought it was. We were probably about an hour in. I actually found a piece of an elk, and I took a bunch of pictures, and I wanted to show Justin. And I showed Justin, and we were standing, and Justin said, "Stop. That's the spot." And I looked over, and I was like, and I did something I rarely do. I just stopped, and I was quiet. And he brought up the pictures, and he went, it felt like 20 minutes. I think it was about 45 seconds, maybe less than a minute.
Did anybody cry? That's all I need to know.
No, I went Yahoo. Like I did curse. I used a word that I shouldn't, a 4-letter word. I said, yeah. And he's like, this is it. Look at this. Look at this. Right then, Cynthia said, there is a rainbow tree I want you guys to see, like a tree that had fallen. And I said, Cynthia, you need to get over here. We found it. I didn't realize Cynthia didn't believe me because I have been known to make a joke every now and then. So she's like, get over here to see the rainbow. And I said, Cynthia, you have to get over here. We found it. And she said, no, you didn't. And then of course I could see that. So I'm like, Justin, we all had walkie-talkies on because Justin has lots of cool equipment. So he came on and he's like, yes, we did get over here. I think there was an F word or two out of her. And it was holy. And then we needed to get her to us because we weren't doing it systematically. So then we said, okay, we have the spot and I'm going to show some pictures that I have, but this is what we confirmed it for us. Now, remember, these pictures have come before. So I want you to show, can you do a side-by-side of the ones that Justin sent you? Of the ones that were sent?
Maybe in a minute if I get that set
Okay,
up.
so what we did is lined
Oh,
up.
were
So
they
first,
sent? I didn't realize pictures were sent.
yeah, you sent
to
it to
me.
him, right?
Okay, sorry.
Messenger. So don't.
Gotcha. Okay, let me look.
So what I want you to show is the lodgepole pine and the lodgepole pine one first, and then the nook and the nook.
If I can get it. If I can get it.
So Walter says, so you found a tree that matches what? We found a tree that matched the.
Found a forest.
We found a particular picture that matched a picturesque area that matched a picture that we were given previously by an anonymous person. And then we found a nook that was exactly at that spot. We did find the blaze there. We'll show some pictures of the blaze. So it's, yeah. And again, all our opinions. Let me put this out. I'm going to just say for the rest of this time, in my opinion, comes at the end of every single sentence. I know some of you are saying this is just my opinion. Yes, this is just my opinion. And when Cynthia comes on, when she talks, that's her opinion. And when Cowlazars talks, it's his opinion. So, okay. Yes, Nick, and we have some thoughts about that. That's actually where the end of the poem is, and then it wraps back around and it's a 1-1, and it should have been a 2-1. I don't know how far that takes us off. We went.
Should have been a 1-2.
It should have been a 1-2. We were off by 10 seconds. So they'll go more into that because they're the technical people. So
yeah,
anyway,
and we can talk about that in future videos. We're going to go over this, and we're going to reverse engineer how the clues fit, where did warm waters halt, etc.
Yeah.
I mean, there's going to be a lot to talk about tonight. We just want to show you today. We just want to show you the location. I'm working on the pictures right now.
Yeah, Alan, no, we have not had direct contact with the finder that we know of. So no,
We
this
do
was
not know
enough.
the finder. It's just to be clear,
Right.
we do not know the finder.
Right, I said that. Okay, yes, and somebody said everybody is so salty.
We have not had talk to the.
Yeah, everybody said everybody's so salty. If drop off if you don't like, we just want to give our story, and if you don't like our story, that's okay. But this is our story. This is the best we can do. So, what else were you doing on a Tuesday? Tuesday night. Okay. Did you guys all agree together as a team? I'm not sure. Agree to go out? Yep, we all went out.
And April, you're talking about the log that's across laying on the thing.
That's the nook one. I want to start with the other one, which is the trees one.
The tall ponderosa.
Okay.
Oh,
Give me a minute.
did you send the one with the pine? The pine tree down? Okay. Actually, should we start with the pine tree one? Yeah, maybe we should. I just gave the story, for Jesus Christ, people. Tell us the story. I just talked for a long time. Some people are saying, give us the pictures, give us the story. But we do this our way, and we'll get to you guys as we can. Maybe I should just not look at the chat for a little bit. So there is one with a pine tree down.
That's what I said. The log that goes across laying on the ground. Is that? I'm confused on which.
Okay. Whichever one you want to bring up. Let's bring that one up.
Well, let me show you this. And then you can tell me which one, because this was not reversed beforehand, everybody.
Yeah,
right,
literally, we just.
This picture.
Yeah, we can start there. Sure. That's the log pole pine one. Sure.
Well, I don't know what. There's only one.
That's
other
okay. We've been talking this a lot. You haven't been here, and
right.
that is the
And
disappointing part. No, not that one. No, not that one.
Then that's all I got. Hang on.
Right. So I would like you to bring up from. Okay, stop screen sharing.
Okay.
I would like you to bring up from anonymous source the picture you were given that
That's what I
matches
just
that
showed.
picture.
That's what
I would
just-
like both, the one from Justin and the
that's
one
what
from
I just-
Finder.
That's what I just showed.
Pine trees from it.
Right. So why don't you explain it to him, because I'm not communicating well.
Yeah,
He's
That-
bringing
I
up the
thought
down
that's
pine,
what
and
I
he's
just
bringing up the
showed.
lodgepole pine, and he's saying those are the same. Those are obviously not the same. So why don't you bring that back up, Mike?
Which? I don't know which now. I'm not sure which one. This one or not that one? Okay, hang on. There is, hang on a second. Let me make sure I got this right. But you're saying not the picture of the Nook. That's what's throwing me off. What did we have?
Whichever one you want. How's that?
Okay, hang on. Okay, maybe I got it. Maybe I got it now. Maybe, maybe not. Go. Give me a
There's
second.
3 pictures we're gonna show.
Hang on. See, I don't have 3 pictures from Justin. That's what's throwing me off. I have 2
Justin,
pictures.
you didn't send him the 3 pictures?
Yeah.
Okay, he said he did, so maybe check
Today?
again, or maybe,
All right, let me
Yeah.
check.
okay. He says that it says you got him, but I don't know.
All right, give me a second, everybody. It's a live video. Give me a second.
Oh,
Okay, I think I know which one you mean now. You
Gotta
mean,
get that off.
Is there
you mean this one, and then this.
Hold on a second. I'm actually gonna show him what so this came from the Finder? Or I'm sorry,
Yeah, not
the,
the Finder. It did not come from the Finder. Let's be clear.
right.
Yeah.
So bring up that one that Justin sent you, and bring up that one that the anonymous person sent us. No, not the Finder.
You're talking about this picture right here?
Yes.
Okay. And then the one Justin sent, I don't know if I got it right, is this one?
I think that's good then.
Is this picture here?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. So we didn't really number the, if we would have did picture 1, picture 2. All right. Okay. So this is a picture that was sent to us. This is what they went out to see, correct?
Right. So if you look at, I wish I had the
I see.
so you-
Yeah, I
Yeah.
see. I see how it matches. There's a log, a tree
Okay.
that leans here. There's
Exactly.
a tree that leans here. There's a tree
And
that leans to the right.
Yes.
There's a lead. I can't believe that you guys found this. But again, Forrest
It
Fenn was
took
smart. If
forever.
you have GPS coordinates, you're in the area. You're in the area. You're not in the wrong state. To put it that way. And are you saying this is where it was found here, at the base of the tree, or no?
No, that's
Oh.
going to be the Nook. So this is, we were standing, because we had the picture on the left. We were standing about 10 feet from this when I never got to show him the log full, or the picture of the dead animal. I was showing it, and we were standing about 10 feet from there, and he goes, "That's the picture." And I said, "I don't think so." And he said, "Hold on a second." And then that's when I gave him a little time. He looked at it, and he was exactly right. Now, there's a second picture that you're going to see. So that picture, you can see it matches up. Now I want you to bring up the two what I
Justin will
call
forever be known. He's the eagle eye. Now, some people are like, well, why is it different? This was taken.
sorry,
In
guys.
June.
This was taken in June. This is when they found it. This picture was taken as what was
Right.
told to us. Is this was taken when they found it. This is in August. That's why it's not as green.
Correct.
That's why things are more bare.
No, it's not. August is today.
Right.
It's October.
It's okay. Hold on. We're having kid situations now.
Okay, so the other picture is the actual log, or no?
So Mike, today's October, not August.
Yeah,
So
we said
th-
back in
yeah.
August. This was today.
October. Gotcha.
Gotcha.
Did I say
So
August? Okay, so
yeah.
June and October. But as you can see
Yes.
from the deadfall, let me zoom in a little bit. Is deadfall the right term? I think it matches. I mean, it matches. You can tell that it matches. But this is not where it was found, right in this area? You're saying no?
Yeah, it's about 5 feet away from there. So if you
Okay.
turn to the left here, so put your cursor on the bottom left corner of the right one.
Here,
That is the Nook that we'll show you.
under.
And guys, again, you do not have to agree with this. You don't have to. Okay, so here we go.
Okay, hang on.
It's based on the picture that we have.
Right.
From the
All
source.
we're saying is it's based on the picture we had. And
Give me
here's
a
what we have,
Get
guys.
Another one going, guys. I'm gonna make sure I got the right thing. It would be horrible to put up the wrong thing, wouldn't it? So let me like the wrong picture that doesn't mean anything. Let me check. what Justin sent. Yeah, Justin sent 2. So the second picture, I only received 2. The second picture is the log flat on the ground. Is that what we're looking at next?
Yes.
Okay.
Those 2 pictures.
Got it. All right. So let me do that. Let me do this. Let me do this. And let me do this. This is the...
And when you have an exact GPS location, we knew about I don't know, 50 foot mark or 50 foot radius, what we were looking for. Again,
Yeah.
Again, you don't have to believe it, folks.
Yeah, we're putting this out there to get the info out. If you don't agree with it, nobody says you have to, yeah. So this is what picture you took, correct?
Yes.
Yes, and you can tell
Okay.
from
Yeah.
And this matches what we were sent, which is this. Let me blow this up a little bit.
Some people are like, are you putting up with this room? It's ridiculous.
Okay. So as you can see, this sticks out here. This is here. This is this. So this picture is
Right.
kind of more wide out, wider
Right.
out.
And we have a bunch of other pictures, but we're just giving you the top couple of ones because we don't have great internet and things. So anyway,
And
so
the
that
chest
was
is actually where?
yeah. Huh?
The chest was actually where, which is what everybody wants to know.
I don't know. You tell me, Mike. I didn't get that confirmation. I was just told this was the exact spot. Where,
I
where
thought
was
you guys could tell while you were there. Like I thought you could tell.
well, that'll become important in a minute. Let's kind of absorb this, and then we got some additional confirmation, which some people are not going to believe, which is fine. But so that is what we walked up upon.
Okay.
Yes, we don't know if this is true. Guys, just drop off. Everybody just drop off that doesn't want to hear anything. No, this has not been confirmed. The finder didn't tell us. Forrest didn't come back from the dead. If you don't believe it, drop off now. That's what I say to you and you and you and the other.
And Johnny Walker just asked, what about the blaze? Which is a, logical question, I guess. All right, go ahead.
Yeah. So do you have it more handy than I do?
I have it right here.
Okay,
And right
bring it
there.
up.
So that's one tree facing.
So there was 2
that
trees
tree
just
faced that
behind
tree.
this spot.
So swipe back and forth. I don't know how you're gonna do
Yeah.
this.
So I don't know if you can see this. This was the first tree right next to that spot. And I have a video of this that'll make it better.
I do.
And then there was this one. These
to
literally face to face right in front of the spot.
So there were 2 marked trees. That way, I guess if one was down or something happened to the one, the
That's
other one
what we
would be
think.
there.
That's what we think.
Okay, interesting.
Justin would like to join. I'm not sure why because of this room. But Justin would like to join.
It's real simple. Just ignore the chat. That's what I do.
Yeah. Yeah.
We give out the info we have, and people can,
So can you get Justin on, because Justin can actually talk a lot more intelligently.
email him so we can come on?
How would you like it? Email, messenger, doesn't matter. Email, messenger, whatever.
Email. Give me a second. Well, you know what? Messenger. Give us a second. Give me a second, I should say. Do this, do this, do that.
Sorry.
All right, I sent it through Messenger, Justin. So
You sent it through Messenger.
It looks weird, but okay. Well, let me say this to everybody in the chat. So there are GPS coordinates in the poem. You cannot deny that those numbers create the 2 and 2 and 4 and effort, that those numbers are there. There are 9 numbers. There are 9 lines that contain numbers. You can't deny that those are there. Those numbers, when you take them in order, you start at begin in the poem. The question mark separates latitude from longitude. You wrap around to the first stanza. That puts you inside of Yellowstone National Park. 3D Bronze says, can you see mountains, animals, and sagebrush from the...
I don't know about sagebrush. Do you guys know about sagebrush? I know about mountains and animals because I saw them.
Is there sagebrush in the meadow?
I don't know.
I don't
We
know.
have lots of video that you guys will be able to see. Here was the cool
other
part.
thing is you guys
Can I
being
get-
there in September. I wonder if you're there in the middle of summer, if it's a little bit different.
Yeah. Here's a question. Here's a thing, and I'm going to give the punchline first. I happened to take some of the dirt and stuff from the spot, and we put it in front of a copper smelling dog, bronze smelling dog, Tucker, and everybody knows about Tucker. And I'm going to let Justin know. I think that's what solidified it for Justin, which was awesome. So, so we have different layers of this. Again, we're just trying to get the initial information out, so then we can go to the next layer, which is all the different videos and things. So, okay, so we had pictures beforehand. We had the GPS coordinates that we confirmed independently because we just walked through and saw that. Now we found this location. So we now see exactly the spots. And if you look at the side-by-sides of, and we have the other pictures too, Mike, that we did side-by-sides of all of them. We believe that was a spot. And then all of the things that Forrest started saying, they started making sense. There are 9 physical locations as well. Now, Mike, you're big in mine. Maybe that's just mine. Because I see, oh, there we go.
Yeah, you got the view on who speaks. Hey, Justin, how are you?
Hi, guys.
Thanks for coming on.
Hope we don't get any feedback since I'm so close to Christy.
No, sounds good. Sounds good.
Okay. How's it going?
Good. It's a little, when you guys, called and said we found it, I was like, what? That was the goal. But when you actually hear, I'm like, so I say, what was the blaze? The phone cuts off, lost connection. So I had to wait for an hour. But yeah, go ahead. It's your story. You guys tell it.
Well, I see that there are a fair number of doubters and skeptics in the channel, and I'm certainly a skeptic to a certain degree, but there are a lot of things that do add up here. First off, we have a source, and this source was able to confirm an article that was published on Medium before it was published on Medium. That means something. I think that helps establish the source as someone who's, at least to a certain degree, legitimate and a certain amount of trust. And that same source has also mentioned that the exact spot in which the treasure was found was at these particular coordinates. Possible, okay. And also provided additional pictures of the area where it was found that had previously not been shown. And that area shows kind of the dugout area, everything that I think has already been shown here. So when you start looking at those holistically, I think it's harder to refute. Can I say that this is the spot with 100% confidence? I have pretty high confidence, and I don't expect others to have the same confidence that I do. The reason for that is because, well, it just boils down to I trust the dog at the end of the day. I know that there's no reason for you to trust him, so it works for me.
For those out there who do not know about your dog, explain that a little bit.
I spent quite a bit of time working with Tucker. Tucker is his name, to sniff bronze, and we went through a lot of trials on this, and a lot of different bronze samples and patinaed bronze and so forth. And the way it works is that when he finds something that is of interest that contains bronze, he knows to sit and wait. And I think Christy probably has some video from it, but dogs are not allowed in the park, so I couldn't bring him along. I did the next best thing, or Christy did the next best thing, and she collected some dirt. And generally, when you have a metallic object sitting for an extended period of time, there is, some of that rubs off onto the soil. So, it's the best we got at this point. So she grabbed some of the soil and just brought it back in a bag. And
in the park still. I'm in the park still.
Yeah, in the parking lot. Yeah.
Didn't remove anything.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. No, nothing was removed. No. And, he just did a sniff. And she put the bag on the ground, and, he circled it a little bit, and then he came to the bag and gave it a good sniff, and he immediately sat and waited. And that's enough for me. I know it's not enough for a lot of folks, so sorry. But when you add all of those things together, it starts to get pretty interesting. You know, and the other piece here is that there is a literal interpretation to these clues. It's not like he just wrote gibberish on in a poem and then all you had to do is pick out numbers. That certainly helps immensely. But there's also a literal interpretation to this. You can follow each of the 9 clues through the poem without using any numbers. Now, would you have been able to find the treasure without the GPS coordinates? I tend to say no. And the reason for that is because very quickly in the forest, things all start to look the same. And you're looking for a very small object in an expansive space, even if it does take you to a fairly close proximity, right, without using the numbers. But when you look at the numbers, I simplified it even further. You know, I like the concept of the question mark as the delimiter between latitude and longitude. Very simple homophone structure. You add up any numbers that appear on any given line together. And what you end up with are coordinates that are smack dab in the middle of the park. That's could in and of itself be coincidence. But if you ignore the seconds, right? So if we're only looking at the degrees and minutes, it gets you quite close, right? You don't even have to do this wraparound technique where you kind of loop back to the beginning of the poem to get that last, what is it, 2 seconds. Even if you drop that, you start begin at where Walmer's halt, and you use the homophone concept all the way through, you end up right at that spot.
So you're saying it would be 44.26 north and 110.42 west. We're not
Exactly.
using seconds. Okay,
Yeah,
interesting.
it happened to be 12 seconds, but
Okay.
you know, that's not a great amount of footage, right? It gets you very close.
Is there any way the seconds could have changed over 10 years? In other words, when Forrest was there with a GPS, could there be a reason that we can think of why?
Yeah, I mean, magnetic declination, I suppose there could be minor variances, but
Okay.
nothing of substantial. I mean, like, you know, it's not like there was some sort of visible landslide or something, at least as far as I could tell. And I know that it's challenging. You look at those photos, and I'm sure there are plenty of folks who would say, well, that's not the same spot. Keep in mind that a lot can change between June and October. What I was really looking at is the juxtaposition of the trees. And it's true that trees fall in the forest all the time. What was unique about one of the trees in the photos is that not only is it leaning, but it's still alive. So there was still some root structure to it. So I felt there was some confidence that it was still standing. And it just so happened when you get into the right position, all 3 of those trees line up correctly. You also have on the left side a different type of tree. It's not a Douglas fir. What is that? I can't remember the type of fir it is or pine it is offhand. Anyhow, it's a different species and it's off to the left. And so you have that sort of in the left foreground. And as you look straight ahead and you try and identify each of the trees in each of those photos, I realize, you know, identifying a single one is silly, but as a collection and the relative positioning, it's spot on. And additionally, there was a fallen over pine in June that has taken its natural course and just disintegrated further, right? So it was just further down on the ground. And I think some of us were kind of keyed in on it at the beginning because that was very obvious in the photo, but it just had disintegrated some, that's all. And the log structure itself, you know, that's certainly disintegrated considerably since June. But if you look at the positioning of each of the branches that come off of that downed log, and you compare the length, the angle, all individual knots on those, everything lines up perfectly. Additionally, the soil that was directly below the log, I mean, you could tell that it was very loose, and it had been disturbed within the past year, no doubt. And it would have been a tight squeeze for 12 by 12 by 10 box, but I think that it would be possible to wedge it right down in there. Whether or not that is the exact location where it was placed, I don't know. But all of these things combined, you got the coordinates, you've got the literal interpretation, you have a very easy path to get there. It's under a mile. It's virtually 0 elevation change. And yes, it's true, you cross a creek, but you can literally hop across it. You don't have to get wet. And you can walk right straight to it. And I think anybody even Forrest at 7980 would have no problem doing this. You know, I've seen, I mean, it's one of the beginner trails of Yellowstone. It's very simple. All of those things combined, you've got the dog test, that's for me. You
Dog
have
sniffing test. So in other words,
an
you've
impressive
trained your dog-
source.
So
Yeah,
just to be clear, you've trained your dog to sniff out bronze, in particular bronze. And
bronze.
that was due to the thrill of the chase. He would go with you on your searches. And for this particular location, the chest is gone. Obviously, somebody found it, but the dog alerted that there was bronze in this location, or at least remnants of it. Okay.
That's right. Yeah.
How long of a walk was it from where you park to the actual location? Or
Less than a mile.
less than
Well,
a-
no, to be fair, it was about 0.95 miles to the place where you exit the trail. And it was approximately 1,400 feet away from the trail.
So Forrest replied to Christie's email about if you're walking more than a mile. What did he say? What was it when he replied to your email? If you're walking less than a mile.
If you're walking long distances, you're walking too far.
Oh, that was it. I thought you had asked him about a mile. Okay.
I did.
But-
I told him I'd made it a mile hiking that day. That's
Gotcha.
what I told him.
But here's what's going to happen. If the finder does come out with a solution, and we believe they will at some point, then we're going to know if this is correct or not. And I guess there's going to be those people who still won't believe it because it doesn't match their solve. But there's
Right.
going to be a one way to know when the person who actually found the chest, if they verify this is correct or not.
Yeah, I see a few questions on the message board here. First off, what were the literal 9 clues? We can certainly go through those again if you'd like, but I did see a question from Copper Dan around whether or not it be, you know, a special spot or a place that Forrest would like to rest in peace. Sadly, I've hiked this area before. I'm kind of embarrassed to say that at this point, but in the spring and the summertime, it's still very nice. Don't get me wrong, but it's a breathtaking sight. What you have is a meadow that is very close to the trail, but you don't know it's there until you go through a little copse of trees, and you have this. Especially, I can imagine at night. I mean, the stars would just be beyond incredible, but just a beautiful sight. And the forest there is very approachable. You don't have a lot of down timber to deal with, which plagues a lot of Yellowstone and other forests up here. But
Let me chime in here
peaceful.
for a second, Justin.
Mhm.
So I was with 3 mountaineer types, Justin, Cynthia, and someone else. And I will say I was the slowest of the bunch, and I made it there twice. So there was not hard terrain. The spot to walk over, I literally just stepped over. We have some video of that. We have video of all of this. So that is just something I wanted to chime in. It was something that I could do. So, and most of you know, you're in better shape and do better than I could. So when Justin was like, I do have to say it was a little bit fatiguing for me. Justin, it was like walking to the mailbox. Cynthia, the same way. She was nice. She's like, I'm tired too. And I'm like, no, you're not. But you guys were very nice and sweet. There was, I stopped about halfway and just grabbed some water. And at the end, before we took off, I got a granola bar from Justin. Other than that, I mean, I was good to go. I mean, I have a blister on my foot, but that's the only thing. So it was not, it was something an 80-year-old man could do.
So
And someone did ask, why did it take him 25 days at the end? Did you want to talk to that, Mike? Or do we prefer not to?
I don't know what you mean. The finder, why it said they took them 25 days. Well, I look at it this way. When the finder says, I figured out where Forrest Fenn wanted to die, to me, that's from the GPS coordinates. They haven't put together the 9 clues yet, but at least they have a general area that's inside Yellowstone National Park. And it's like, okay, we figured out this is a spot. Now let's try and figure out where this thing is. And a 12-inch by 12-inch box, I think that could take, I mean, Justin, you had figured out the GPS coordinates and that was it. How many days do you think it would have taken you to figure out where this thing was? Is 25 days reasonable, or?
It's a small item. I mean, technically speaking, there are no metal detectors allowed in the national parks. So without a metal detector at your disposal, the pine pitch, the pine needles kind of covering it up. Even if we had a challenging enough time finding this, and we had photos of the area, with landmarks and trees and so forth in the photo. And it still took us, 2 hours? Approximately, give or take.
And going back to the poem, in my opinion, you weren't looking for the chest, you were looking for the blaze. Would that blaze that was on those 2 trees, is that something that would have caught your eye if you were in that area looking for Forrest Fenn's treasure chest?
Yeah, and I know there's some contention around the blaze. I'm okay accepting that the blaze was literally the coordinates. I know that a lot of folks wanted something physical there, physically there. There were on its own, I would say. So first off, let me be the first to say that I'm not a fan of blazes on trees. They really don't stand the test of time. We did an extensive search of the immediate area. There are a couple of things that stood out. One is that there was basically 4 trees that were kind of in a square area right there where the chest is. And 2 of them had fallen down. But the other 2 that were standing, much stouter trees, if you will, at the base, there was a cutout. It was, a rectangular square area, but it was the same size and location, relative location on both trees right next to each other. Now, on its own, I'd say, yeah, that's kind of silly, but together, slightly more compelling. The other thing that we found is on the down tree, there was a lot of what could potentially be white paint. It could also be some sort of like natural growing lichen or moss or something that happens to be white, but it was pervasive and it was along the length of the fallen down tree. And if you look at where the trunk of the tree was, if that were sitting up, it would be right at the height where you'd be, putting the paint on as a human. Now, is that the blaze? I don't know, but it's the only things that we could find in the immediate area that would even remotely come close.
So to be clear, in your opinion, when the line of the poem says, if you've been wise and found the blaze, that's the GPS coordinates. Forrest was referring to if you found the GPS coordinates, you know where to go.
I think so. And, he always said, like, I'm not going to put an X on the map for you. Sounds like it's a job for us to do. And I always was keen on the concept of having a very exact location that you're going to. And so GPS coordinates are quite compelling. But the trick was you didn't want to have a lot of math to get them, right? Because it's a slippery slope. You can go down a lot of rabbit holes very quickly. The homophone-based approach is actually very straightforward. It's very simple. And in fact, like as a child looking at the poem, or listening to the poem, you can pick those out, those numbers, right? I mean, that's a fun kids game, right?
Somebody pointed that out in the chat. How would a child figure out GPS coordinates? Well, they wouldn't, but they might hear the numbers in the poem. When somebody says too far to walk, they might say, well, it's 2 and 2. And just to be clear, the far is not a number in this solution.
And let me be clear. Some people are like, oh, you took the dirt out of the park. No. So you need to listen before you make stupid allegations. I took it to the truck. So I did move it a few feet and it was left there. And we have a video of that for the people in the room that are silly gooses. I won't get mad. But no, it was moved just to verify with Tucker. Tucker's not allowed out there. So we brought it to Tucker. It is still in Yellowstone Park. It's just moved a few feet.
Right.
And that was important that we, stayed on track with everything. But the Tucker piece, that's where we got Justin, because it was interesting because he told us what the signal was beforehand. And then I videoed all that. So I have a video of that as well.
Wow.
Now we haven't gotten Cynthia's perspective. Do we want to get Cynthia's perspective?
Cynthia. Anything else, Justin, that you want to say? Well, yeah, I forgot. You're in a different location. Stay on, please. I thought you guys were going to switch. Where's Cynthia at? Is she's there? But where is she going to come?
Yeah, she's probably smart. She's probably looking at it. Okay.
Here was one of the questions I wanted to answer here. Let me see if I can find it.
Hey,
well,
what do you guys
lost
want
it.
to know?
Sorry, guys.
Yeah. Hey, Cynthia, how you feeling?
Relieved. I now have closure.
So you believe this was the spot?
Oh my God, absolutely. Well, I'll tell you what. If the GPS, the thing you did last night with the GPS is that, if that is from the, that's from the poem. It took us to where we went. It matches what we had from the anonymous person. So yes, we absolutely found that.
And then it's interesting because of your doodle. I saw your video about the doodle.
Yeah, no.
Drew that in the back pocket. But you just think that was the park?
Yeah.
And
and the Nez Perce RD doodle, we had already changed it to this new place. I think after we got up here, we got new information from the anonymous source, and we immediately changed from the Nez Perce Ford to these GPS coordinates. So, but for me, the reason I have closure is because there's no way in hell I could have ever solved the poem. I never would have figured this out using GPS. And if you just use like WWH's whatever, Homer Brown was DeLacy Creek, that kind of stuff, it would not ever take you to the treasure chest. So I never would have found it. So I guess that's why I have closure and I feel good. So I'm really, really good with it, and I'm relieved.
Now, someone is asking, why do you think it's legit? Like, there's lots of people that say they have found it, and here's the location. Why do you think this story is legit and not others?
Because they called the article ahead of time. They knew the Medium article was coming out. I think that's key here.
And
like there is something to this source.
And to be clear, that's what made us take a second look at it. And what it was is there was some news that will be out next week, and then that article came out next week. So the timing made us go, well, wait a minute, maybe there's something to this. And then when you look at the numbers in the poem, it's kind of like that could be, I think that could be the way Forrest would do it. I mean, he's a pilot, latitude, longitude. I love the idea that he double encoded the poem. You can solve it through the 9 literal clues, but there's also these hidden GPS coordinates that lead you to the same area. And now we can reverse engineer with this being the spot. We can reverse engineer and decide as a community what the 9 clues were, in my opinion.
I mean, I've heard some speculation or just slightly different interpretations about what the literal 9 clues were. For me, all along, Isa Lake or Isa Lake, depending on who you talk to, was compelling. It's a unique geographic location, right? It flows into 2 separate watersheds. It straddles the divide. There aren't many places like that. So the question is, why is it warm water? A lot of folks would say, well, it's because or some folks would say it's because Pacific is relatively warmer than the Atlantic, right? So it halts at the divide, and Isa Lake is on the line, and it drains to both. So that's kind of the divisor there. Yeah, and then other folks say, well, the first 2 words in the poem is as I, which backwards is Isa. Sure.
Yeah.
But an interesting starting location.
And where you guys parked is the DeLacy, what's it called? Because put in below the home of Brown. Can we now tie DeLacy, whoever that was? Could that be the home of Brown? I'd have to look into it. I'm just thinking off the top of my head. Or is there another put in there that could be considered the home of Brown to get to the spot?
Yeah. If you take it very literally, go down the canyon. So you're going down an elevation, down the road, down the canyon that is east of the divide. And you need to find this home of Brown. Well, turns out that, and this is the colloquial portion that I mentioned, and Forrest wasn't keen on folks driving down the road looking for homes of Brown, right? It just didn't work that way. And that's because it's kind of esoteric if this is the right home of Brown. And that is, as I think Christy or Cynthia had pointed out, the sand cranes that nest there, and they're, Randy, I apologize. And they're literally known as the brown birds. Whether or not that works for you as a home of Brown, that's totally up to you. But do realize that Forrest did say that at least one of the clues is colloquial in nature. It's somewhat local knowledge or tribal knowledge, if you will. So take it as it were.
Well, and I think that needs to be clear. These, the literal translations, these are our guesses. So when we looked around and around and around for the blaze. This is what we believe it is. There might be something else, but it was something that stood out. It matched a lot of the things that Forrest said. So some of you don't like the tree. Maybe the finder took the blaze with them. I don't know. Forrest said that wasn't feasible, but there might be more to it. We just know with the information we've been given, we don't know the finder's WWWH. We don't know the finder's canyon. We don't know we now have some guesses. If this is the final spot, you can backwards engineer some things if you have the confirmed final location. But again, this part, I just wanted to make clear, this is just our guess.
And
And-
this is confirmation bias at its best, right? I mean, once you have what you believe to be the final location, reverse engineering it, sure, you can come up with all sorts of ways to interpret that. So we certainly need to be careful here. As Minotaur just asked, you know, 1 billion people looked at Issa Lake and Nez Ford. Why is this different? Well, yes, as a starting location, potentially, but the end location is different, right? We put in at the home of the sand cranes at the DeLacy Lakes area there below, which is directly south. And where did we go? We found the dry creek. There's no place for the meek. You're in the woods. No paddle up your creek. Well, it's a dry creek. Where do you end up? Heavy loads and water high. Folks had mentioned that that actually could be Shoshone Lake, right? Shoshone Lake is, as I understand it, and correct me if I'm mistaken, but the highest elevation lake in Yellowstone that has no inlet or outlet. So, you know, it's a unique geographic feature. Whether or not that works as your water high is up to you.
And I'll just say this, you know, when the finder takes the treasure chest back to Forrest, don't they discuss the poem? Don't they discuss the clues? Forrest, what was War Warm Water Salt? How do you not? So when the finder comes out with their solution, and we're all hoping they do that, they can remain anonymous, but I hope they publish it in some way, shape, or form. Uh, they will be able to explain how they found it and what the clues meant. Because how do you talk to Forrest about his treasure chest and not go over what the clues meant to Forrest? You know, so I hope it all comes out. You could say, well, you just put out the location. Correct. We put out the location, but we did not put out their solution. They still have their story to tell, and I hope they do. And maybe this will make them do it. I don't know. But I hope they put it out in a public way for everybody. I hope they give an explanation, and then we'll know if the GPS coordinates are how they got there, which is what we are led to believe, or if they use the literal clues in the poem, or both. So we'll see. But this also
Yeah.
explains why the other three stanzas, right, in the poem. Everybody said, well, if you look, you know, the blaze, Marvel with the Marvel gaze, that's the end. Why the other two stanzas for GPS coordinates? That answers that pretty nicely, in my opinion.
Yeah, and for clarity, like, is this 100% the spot? I can't say with 100% confidence. What I can say is that, you know, like we have to give some stock to this source because they were able to accurately predict something that the finder did ahead of time, right? That says something. They have some connection to that finder, and this is all predicated on whether or not you believe the Medium article was from the finder, and I do. If that's the case, and it would go to follow that additional comments from that source should be taken seriously. And that source has stated that these GPS coordinates are the correct solution. It's 9 digits. If you leave out or if you keep in the seconds, actually, that's a total of 9 digits. We needed 9 clues. And there could be literal 9 clues in the poem as well that we don't know with certainty. But I think it really boils down to considering the source.
And to be clear, these coordinates in the poem were known about, I'd say, for 2+ years. From what we understand from a group of people, the problem was trying to figure out the actual numbers. Some people thought effort, FORT, was 40, so they were using 40 instead of just 4 FOR in effort. I mean, there was a little bit of which numbers are correct type thing, and it took people a while to figure out, you know, where it was and which ones were correct, I guess. So, and I know a lot of people, you know, too far, 242, too far to walk. People have thought about the number idea for a very long time. It's just the finder put it together and actually went and got it. So congratulations to them. But I would like to point out that this is October 2020. The Thrill of the Chase book came out in October 2010. 10 years later, the treasure chest has been found, but also the community can know where the location was. And I think that's important. And it also proves that there was a finder, that Forrest Fenn did not have the treasure chest retrieved, like a lot of people are speculating. I think this proves that there was a finder. They have the chest. They want to sell it, according to that article. And I hope that they will come out with a solution at some point. What do you think, K-Pro?
So some people are saying, and I'm trying to respond in chat because I wanted to let you guys, Justin is much more eloquent than me. So So we don't believe the Finder article because the Forrest family has not confirmed it. They did put it on Old Santa Fe Trading Company, which is owned by Forrest family, and said, here is a lovely article by the Finder. So I don't know if we need it in video. I don't know what other people need. That was enough for me to know that the family owns that site. The family put that article up. The family said it was the Finder. So for me, that's enough confirmation. For others, it's not. And that's okay. But when some ask, why do you think that Finder article is the Finder? That is one big reason why for me. I have other reasons why, but just again, for me, and I guess we were actually talking about this on the way back. This was closure for me. And I think validating from different people, Justin's been in the community a long time, not as much in the foreground as some of us. Cynthia has been out and about in this community for a long time. The three of us being there and seeing a lot more of this, I think brings some validation. And so that's why I kind of put the pieces. It's just funny, the different pieces that hold more credence to me. Like Justin, it was the Tucker, because he knows, and he's done shows in the past with us on how accurate he can get and what he does, et cetera. So this wasn't something invented today, because it does kind of sound like a crazy story a year ago or 2 years ago when he talked about it on the marathon, but it is very intriguing. So for him, that gave a lot more validation. For me, there's just different pieces. I don't know if that blaze is that blaze. We spent a lot of time looking for that blaze. We would have wanted a couple of other confirmation. So, I mean, yeah, in a perfect world, it's a lot more than we had before when you look at the timing of some of this. And I do think there's going to be more details to come, but Finder, you've been out there a while. And so we're investigating on our own. This might not be it for you. This might make you go, or it might make you go, gosh, I do believe it, because K-Pro is the most credible of the entire group. I know that's what you guys are thinking. No, it's just, but it means a lot when someone like Cynthia, I said, I'm convinced, what do you think? And Cynthia said, this is the best day in 8 years because I finally have confirmation. It was enough for her. Again, it might not be for you. And that's what the piece that I guess I don't understand is, it's okay to keep holding on to yours, to your solve or your location or you needing a different confirmation. But it doesn't mean that, we're wrong for putting this out. So this is confirmation to us. I saw somebody said, oh, it's clickbait, your article, your title. The title is that for us. And this was enough. So
But I don't know how you get numbers out of the poem that lead to a location in Wyoming when Forrest Fenn confirms it was in Wyoming before he passed. It's right there in Yellowstone Park in a very popular search area, the Continental Divide. Firehole, if somebody wanted Madison Junction to be where Warm Waters halt, or the Firehole, isn't that all within the drive? I mean, you could probably make several locations work.
Not really, it's the wrong direction.
Is it the wrong
On the
direction?
wrong side. It's on the wrong side of the Continental Divide.
okay, she says it's on the wrong side of the Continental Divide. I don't know.
Yeah, somebody asked for a 60-second recap of what had been said. I think the important part here is that there is a source that has some merit that was able to call out ahead of time that the Finder story would be published the following day. And it was published the following day. And through Old Santa Fe Trading Company, we have the family saying that the Finder posted this on Medium. So it goes to reason that anything that source says has to be credible to some extent, or at least we need to take a look at it.
They know
And
something.
yeah, they know something.
And to be
How
very
much we don't
clear-
know.
To be very clear, Alan Kay just said, so that person who sent you the email is the Finder. They are not the Finder. To be very clear, the anonymous person is not the Finder, and that person, and we do not know who the Finder is. Make that very clear to everybody. The
That's
person
correct.
who sent it to us, explained very carefully and wanted to make it absolutely clear that they are not the Finder.
And that person gave us coordinates that are directly out of the poem that are very easy to validate on your own by just using the same simple homophone structure. I think that portion is actually pretty straightforward. Whether or not this is the correct location, I can't say with certainty. I personally have high confidence, but we don't know with 100% certainty.
We do have confirmation that Douglas Preston was not involved for Michael O'Connell, who reached out to Douglas Preston. And at least Douglas Preston is saying, I don't know who the finder is. I don't know where it was found. I didn't write that article. So that's that part of it.
Well, and someone, we've had a few people say, why did the finder give you guys this to do this? We are not, we've never been in contact with the finder. This is not this wasn't the finder sent us out. Someone that, is in relation with the finder or communication or whatever with the finder. This wasn't direct communication. So this wasn't the finder sending us out and this is how it's ending. I think they will eventually end it in their own way. I think that article said we're going to get something soon.
Yeah.
We just decided to explore this before the weather turned, et cetera. And it happened to turn out. I didn't think it was going to turn out, but we found that exact spot. And there was a lot of other confirmations that Justin went into. So it's pretty cool for us. Again, this is just us. This is just our opinion. That's all.
And Maui Bob, thanks for the super chat. He says, since it was in the park, how did he get around the impossible legal issues? Well, Forrest has always said the person who finds it, it's theirs. But what did the finder do? He drove to Forrest's house or city or office and gave it back to him. And some people will argue that if you find something in the park where you know who the owner is, all you have to do is return it to him. I don't know that to be true, but I know people have posed that theory.
Well, and if you were, I think Cynthia was on Amy Seek's show about a week or two ago, and that is exactly what Forrest told Cynthia. Now, does that mean Cynthia legally knows that to be true? No, this is just what was communicated by Forrest Fenn at the time, and others have also speculated. That was the reason Forrest knew he was going to get contacted, is what some people have said. So again, it's all just
interesting. Okay. And yeah, we can discuss this. I mean, we can discuss this for a very long time. But I think people should look at the poem and look at the homophones and look up Scrapbook 107. Scrapbook 107, when this anonymous person pointed it out, that's what sold it for me. Forrest was in fact trying to give hints in that scrapbook to say, to me, in my opinion, to latitude, longitude. It's just there. It's there for everybody to see. So yeah, hints to homophobes when he puts right and WRITE instead of right, RIGHT, but also a little lat long hint on if my phone, I got to beat my horn for the police to come because my phone lost power. So they know my location. Well, if the phone's on, you use GPS with cell towers and all that. So it's just my opinion.
Okay, so let me just make it clear one more time because we're going to put our listening ears on. Brett says there's a big difference, K-Pro, between saying the person writing the articles, the finder, and the person who sent you this info is the same person. Correct. In no way did the finder send any of this information to us in any way. The finder did not send this to us. So Brett, you are correct. There is a big difference, and one was never said in this ever.
Yeah. Nobody, we do not know who the finder was. We have a bunch of emails from people who say they are the finder, but why would we believe them? The only reason we believe this email out of the many that we've received is because they said next week there will be news, and that next week there was an article on Medium. That's the only thing that made us go, oh wait, let's look at that again.
I want to clarify that, Mike. So to be clear, I have had no contact with this source. This is all through Mike and Christy. I'm curious to know, did the source actually say that the article was coming out on Medium, or did they just say it's coming out?
Not even, just there would be news next week. That's it. There would be news next week from the finder. Okay?
Though we have had people for quite some time to say that, oh, there's going to be news out the next week and stuff, right? I mean, this isn't the only person. Did they give an exact date, or did they just say next week?
Just next week. Just next week.
Okay.
But that made me revisit what they put. And then when I looked at the poem myself, I thought, well, that's kind of, I mean, Try the Wheel is there too, but you got to slide letters around and you got to do a bunch of crazy stuff. This is there in a very simple way, in my opinion. It's a very simple way that a word sounds like a number, or a word ONE is contained in a word. The letters ONE are contained in a word. And then it puts you right in the park in Wyoming. It's just, I don't see how it can be a coincidence and they're in order. You don't have to scramble them around. The numbers are in order. If you start at the begin it stanza, which is what the poem tells us to do, begin it on that stanza. And shout out to Randy Pischel, who made a video this morning, a reaction video to our video, saying that he believed there was something to it. And then he had about the home of Brown. You guys should check out his YouTube channel is Valentine Goose on YouTube. He has a theory for the home of Brown, which fits. And yeah, and he's the one who kind of said the difference between degrees, minutes, seconds, and decimal degrees. Do I have that right? And that yeah, which one is right? We got to look at the poem and kind of analyze it a little bit more, and we will. Minotaur Moreno says, so does this news eliminate Shiloh from being the retriever? What do you guys think?
In
I don't
my
think
opinion,
it proves or
yes.
disproves. I personally, I mean, that's up for you. That's up to you to decide. Like
Right.
we provided the evidence that we have, the experiences we had, and it's up to you to make your own conclusion.
And,
So what what we're planning on doing, a lot of it just came from our words and things. I actually took a lot of video. We want to show you the path. Well, the walking was very easy, or the hike, I guess I should say. I want to show you the actual location. We want to show you just different pieces of this. We couldn't do all that because it would have taken forever to get videos to Mike, etc. We wanted to get you the information as quickly as we had it, because some people knew we were here and out and etc. And that's all we're doing. I mean, it's not, some people are really upset right now, and just chalk it up to, if you don't believe it, that's okay. And you can go about your day and we'll go about ours. That's it. I mean, it's just not as upsetting. I don't know. Some people are,
so
boy.
some people are arguing that those lat long numbers don't make sense. So let's go to Google Maps and let's put it in ourselves and see what we got. And there's some side-by-side pictures. So if we go to Google Maps, and again, these numbers are from the poem. You guys can figure that out yourselves. Now, these are the full set of numbers that are in the poem.
Well, we did a whole video on it yesterday.
Yeah,
You can
you
go
can
into the
also
video
see that
from
video.
yesterday.
It explains it in detail. But 442600 north, 11042 west puts us right here, right north of Shoshone Lake. And then if we go here to the satellite view, this is DeLacy Creek. There is a parking right here. There's a parking in Shoshone Lake Overlook. But you were saying that it wasn't exactly here. It was a little bit off. Is that right, Justin?
Oh no, I'm not exactly sure what you're referring to, but we just parked over in the picnic area there, which is pretty close by. But yeah.
No, the actual location of where you found it. Are these the coordinates, or was it off a little?
If you use the seconds, 2 seconds, it means it was off by 10 seconds. So it was actually 12 seconds instead of 2.
Oh, interesting.
That being said, if you just drop the seconds entirely, you get really close. So I personally think that there may not have been any seconds involved at all. It's just degrees and minutes.
And if we do that, because the 00 is not in the poem, the 00 people were assuming, including us, we were assuming that because there was a 1-2, but like you said, this means you don't have to go back to the first stanza. From begin it to the bottom is where you get.
It's even simpler.
Gotcha. So if we do that, there it is.
There you go. That's it.
Right here. 4226 north, 11042 west. Do I have that right?
I think your screen updated. That doesn't look quite right. Let me go ahead and pull it up locally here.
Yeah.
Is that about right? It's pretty close, but I'm not sure if it's exact.
And again, just so everybody knows, this is Yellowstone. This is the park, Yellowstone National Park. I know this big lake mass was big. This is Forrest holding his thumb out or something. I don't know. I just know the solutions that have been sent to us about Google Images. It's just crazy to me that this is right in that area. I mean, Old Faithful is right here, everybody. Look how, this is an hour drive from West Yellowstone. How far was the fishing bridge from this location, Cynthia? Pretty close, right? I mean, within miles, right? Or K-Pro, somebody. So yeah, you guys can check out our video on the channel from last night where we go in depth, and then you make your own decision. We just thought it was important that if this
and a lot of people are asking, what are the 9 clues, the more literal ones? What is WWWH, etc. So I know some people added late. And thank you, Casey, for the super chat.
I missed one.
We don't have that. We can guess to it. We have our thoughts on it. Randy did a video and he found something interesting as well. But we do not have that from any source. We have just been looking and thinking, and Isa Lake's right there. As I've gone alone in there, a lot of people think Isa Lake. But do we have that confirmation from the finder anonymously? No, we do not.
And Billy Price, email me, because you're saying you had a solution that was right very close to this area with DeLacy Creek, and you didn't use GPS coordinates at all. So I'd be interested in what that is. You probably sent it to me already, but if you have it handily available, email that to me, would you please? I'd be interested in reading it. Valentine Goose on YouTube, he says, Justin Posey, it makes a difference as you are on the other side of that clearing if you use the seconds or not. Is that correct?
It does. So what you have is the latitude line, I think, is really clear. Now, there's some debate around the exact longitude. Do you or do you not include the seconds? It's true that seconds make a difference. We're talking, what is it, like maybe a couple 100 feet? But if you're walking the latitude line, you know, you're sure to bump into it. The 12 seconds, I can't say with certainty how to resolve that, right? So what we've done using the homophone technique, if you do the wraparound thing, is you end up with 2 seconds. Now, is there a different way? Am I missing a homophone there? Is there a different way to interpret this that you land on 12 instead of 2? I don't know. But what I can say is the spot that we ended up at, where the down timber was, and we matched up the photos, was at 12 seconds.
Interesting. And again, maybe the GPS coordinates, they give you a general location. I mean, we don't know what was in Forrest's mind, unfortunately, because he's not with us anymore. I hope the finder, when they come out with their solution and tell their story, that they explain it, how they figured this out, what Forrest's reaction was. If Forrest told them they were right, if Forrest explained the 9 clues, all those kind of things. But it's very interesting that if you've been wise and found the blaze, and the blaze could be the GPS coordinate.
Yeah, and just to be clear too, there's no digging at all involved. None. Zero.
No.
Didn't need to. It was just a cool area to be in. That's all.
So I guess that's it, everybody. I mean, if Cynthia and Justin and K-Pro are satisfied with it, I got to say I'm satisfied with it. I was not there. I'm home holding down the fort, holding down the YouTube channel. But if for 3 people that for 3 people that have so much invested in the chase to say it makes sense to them, not 100% certainty. The only way there'd be 100% is if a chest was found there and that was already retrieved. But they're fairly confident that it's right, that it sounds right. I'm a believer.
And I'm
that's-
curious, like, if folks on the channel can resolve this 12-second difference, which, as Lou had pointed out, was actually closer to about 1,400 feet. That's substantial. What you have is a solid latitude line that you can walk from the trail. Now, resolving that 12-second difference, I'd be interested if someone knows how to interpret that correctly. And who knows, maybe that's an Achilles heel here. Maybe this doesn't hold any merit, but I feel like, at least at this point, it has a lot going for it.
Yeah, it is interesting. I just think it's closure for the people that believe this is accurate. Oh, thank you, Eric. It is breaking news. He knew it. Eric's 7 and he knew it. It is breaking news. It is the location, in our opinion. I believe the dog is huge. No, so let me ask you this, Justin. If the dog would have sniffed the location of the dirt and not alerted, would your opinion be different?
I'd have far less confidence, and I didn't expect anything from him because the chest isn't there anymore. He's not sniffing bronze. He's sniffing an area that used to contain bronze. And it's true, it had bronze for pretty close to 10 years, somewhere in there. So you would think that there'd be some residual. And I was really hoping. I had a lot riding on that, and it did pan out. I'm happy with it, but whether or not you're happy with it is up to you.
And isn't it June 6th when Forrest sent the email out that it was over, and today is October 6th. So exactly 4 months later. The location is known, in my opinion. Super chat.
So Mike,
we appreciate
yeah, I was gonna say, for the people that came in late, is there a photo of the spot? There's actually several. And we did a side by side of what we got before and what we got now.
Yeah, so when K-Pro gets back, there will be a lot of video that's put together. We will put together a video. Wrong way, Corrigan, with the super chat. Thank you. We do appreciate it. We will put together a video of the location. We'll probably do an easier to understand video of the poem and how you get it, and maybe just incorporate it all into one video. just to put it out there. And you guys are going to have to make your own decision, as it is with anything Thrill of the Chase related, unless it comes from Forrest himself. For those of you that still don't believe it was in Wyoming, I don't know what to tell you. If you're not going to believe Forrest when he says that, I don't know what to tell you. There's nothing we could have said tonight that's going to change your mind if you don't believe Forrest. But yeah. So K-Pro, can you show the picture of the mark in the tree, which maybe was a blaze, maybe wasn't?
I can sure try. Let's see.
And there were, to be clear,
The
there were,
one from the anonymous person or the one from us?
no, the one from you. We do not have a mark. in
Oh,
the
the
tree.
blaze.
Yeah, the blaze.
Sorry.
And to be
What were
clear,
you
there were
thinking?
2 trees that had about the same size mark
Okay.
in the trunk. Is that true?
Yeah.
And we had a couple more super chats come in. David Hall, thank you for all your work. Thank you for David. Thank you everybody for tuning in. We just think it's important that people to have closure and people know that this could be a possible location. Please show the photo again, Jefferson. We will.
Okay, so here's probably about 5 feet from the. Oh, I'm getting a
There you go.
glare.
Yeah. Just angle it up. There you go.
And
That's
the
good.
other one
Oh, there we go.
facing it.
There's the one,
Okay.
and that was maybe 5 feet, a little bit less than 5 feet. And then, is that what I just showed?
No.
No, that's a different one.
That's the
Okay.
other one. Okay.
So if you've been wise and found the blaze, look quickly down. I mean, do you
And they
think
were facing each other. And there were some down trees. Maybe there were more just in case, and that would withstand the test of time. I don't know. This is, again, just our opinion of what confirmed it for us, in our opinion, whatever the right terminology be.
Well, what's interesting is the very end of the Thrill of the Chase is the lumberjack with the axe with all the trees knocked down. I mean, could that have been a subtle hint to the blaze that there was an axe on a tree? I don't
Right.
know. It's
That's what Tumble Bear Low did. Yeah.
And were those
Yeah.
2
Did you grab the dirt from the left side or the right side? I think just a little, it was so loose. It's just a little bit from actually just all this, not even the size, just that whole little area. So there's a little dirt. Well, I'd say mostly pine needles. You guys will see when you see the video that we'll share. And then it was there in the picnic area for all to see.
Golden Frog points out that I said the blaze couldn't be a tree. Well, you know what? I could have been wrong. It's just that simple. The blaze is whatever Forrest created. I mean, do you guys believe Forrest could have cut that notch or that?
Yeah.
Yours.
And
Well,
trees
and
were
here's the other thing. Somebody just emailed me and said, if the finder comes out and says something totally different, are you going to, is your confirmation still going to be the same? No, probably with the information I have now. That's why I'm so, I feel so good about it. But that doesn't mean that if something else comes out to contradict it, I don't find it likely, like Justin said, more and more likely as we found more and more things. And a lot of the quotes, we started talking about the different quotes throughout the years. They make a lot more sense now. But again, if it doesn't work for you, that's okay. It just worked for us. So if the finder came out and said it's in a completely different spot in Wyoming, and here is and they confirmed it all, and then the family puts it on the website, I'd probably be thinking that. But right now, that's not the information we have. The most credible evidence we have is in the spot that we were in. And so there you go. Do you think any bar jars or bells are in this area? Ooh, what an
No.
interesting
Yeah, that's a
question.
good
I wouldn't think so. You can't dig there. You can't
And
dig.
thank you for the super chat, Mike. We appreciate it. But yeah, that's an interesting. But he has always maintained the jars are buried, right?
Right, and you can't dig there. So I would, my guess is no, but that's just my 2 cents.
But I would say this. I mean, I hate to say it, but the ball is in the finder's court. If they want to come out, if they don't say anything, if we just never hear from the finder again, in my opinion, that speaks volumes, because they may not want to confirm that this is the actual location. Now, if they come out with a different location and they give the solution of this is how it was figured out, then okay, then maybe I would concede that we're wrong. But if they don't, this is the location until we're proved otherwise, in my opinion.
Yeah. And Indiana Jones asked, can I send the pictures to Mike so he could blow it up? This is the magic of Justin. He got the pictures that we have to Mike. My phone does funny things. So I'm going to be able to hook my phone up to his computer when I get back. And that you will see videos, you will see pictures, you will see probably more than you ever want to. So tonight, no, we did this very quick. We literally just got back into town. We literally have not had meals today. So we're going to try to keep this relative. Cynthia's having Oreos for dinner. No, I'm taking them out to dinner to say thank you for letting me. There was no way this was going to happen without both of them. I was the flatlander. I made it, and that's my value is I made it there. I made it back. It wasn't too strenuous. I mean, I'm not dead, but I definitely was a little fatigued. And Justin, the equipment that he had alone, like walkie-talkies, and he put this little beacon on me. So if I got lost, because there was a couple times I'm like, I'm not sure which way. And then I hit a little call button and he came and found me. He was definitely Papa Bear on this trip. So thank you, Justin.
Scot-free.
Thanks for letting me tag along.
Yeah, I'm glad you were there, Justin, and Cynthia and Capro. It's just awesome how this all came together. It really, in my opinion, seemed meant to be. It's kind of crazy. Scot-free Analytics LLC says, did you ever consider that by coming out with this information that the finder will never emerge? In my opinion, the finder is never going to emerge, but I don't think us coming up with this location prevents them from telling their story or the location.
Right. And how long do we wait? I mean, it's been
they're
how
gonna
many
do that
months?
anyway.
I mean, we could have waited a year, 2 years, 3 years, 5 years. I don't know. How long do we wait? And no, I still think they have a story to tell, but I think more and more information is going to continue to leak out and be out, et cetera. So get your rears and gears, guys. I don't know if you're just not agreeing. You're just not getting the right agents. The media crew that we were with said they would listen to the finders if they wanted to reach out. So if that wanted
hang
to
on.
happen.
You just said media crew you were with. What's that all about? What? Who said what to who? Here's a question from the chat from Lou B. He says, what feet were you guys at? Do you know what elevation you were at on the spot?
Approximate elevation was 7,893 feet, give or take 10 feet.
So definitely within the range of forest parameters, 7,900 roughly, give or take. Okay, 7,900 feet. Chasing Indy said, what about the GPS coordinates that Marty found from Tea with Olga? I don't know what that is, so I can't comment to it.
Wasn't Marty in a different state? I'm not trying to be snarky, but she's in Montana. So I ruled it out because anyone that sends me solves in different states other than Wyoming, there's my answer. And were they in the poem is the other question, but somebody sent me last night. I have a coordinates in Colorado. I appreciate that. But for me and only me, I'm ruling that out. And that doesn't mean that you don't have a valid solve for you. For me, I'm ruling out anything but Wyoming. That's me, and I'm allowed to.
Unfortunately, let me ask you this. Actually, I guess, let me ask you this, Capro. If Forrest was still alive and we made this video and he watched it, do you think he would confirm or deny?
You know what? I actually asked Cynthia when we got in the car, I said, we were getting ready to go live. And I was like, this would be one I would be asking Forrest, am I allowed to? Because there's such good stuff. And because he does not like to stir up the drama piece. This can't be, I don't think he would confirm because I don't think he could because of the legal situations or whatever. And he said he's going to always defer to the finder. So I do not believe he would confirm, even me or Justin or Cynthia. I don't think he would have confirmed it. Do I think he would be going, finder, what are you doing? Get your rear in gear. I mean, how long do we wait for the finder? I mean, I appreciate the finder has a lot of complications, but after putting that article out, that's kind of teasing, and I'll be back soon. Somebody said they could have put Neener Billy Goat. I think after that, it's fair game to put out what we have and what we know. And some people are getting antsy and they're doing that. And so I'm sorry if this steals your thunder. The thunder's still all yours. Put out the rest of your story.
And I will point out that
anonymously.
Some people have incorrectly in the chat said Forrest didn't want the location to be known. That is not what Forrest ever said. Forrest said it's up to the finder. That's different than saying, I don't want it known. He said, I'm going to leave it up to the finder. The solution and the clues he's going to leave up to the finder. We just, because somebody reached out to us, we figured out the location, and me, Capro, and I'm assuming Cynthia and Justin, we think it's important to get the location to people so they can have closure. People want to know how close they were.
And Forrest didn't only say that to us in our interview, and you can hear it from Forrest. He said it to Cynthia, and she has it on her channel. So again, we can go around and around and around all day. This is enough confirmation for us. Again, if it's not for you, that's okay. This is just the information we have, and we're going to marry some of it to some of the quotes and things and go into the videos and all that. But I think all the content is out there. Unless anybody has any final questions, I'm hungry and I'm ready to go have a celebration drink with Cynthia and Justin.
Chasing Indy says the coordinates in the clouds. If you mean from the book, well, I think that speaks for itself. Anybody out there that had a solution that used a Google image and it looks like a triangle with a stick and all that, that's too subjective. And the poem is not subjective. The poem is what FORREST Fenn said to use. FORREST repeatedly said, all you need is the poem. Just by looking at the poem and nothing else, you can retrieve those numbers. They lead you to a location. And I believe there's hints in The Thrill of the Chase about latitude, longitude being a way to solve the poem, in my opinion. His mother had long-sightedness because she was so smart, and everyone knew that. Longitude. You know, the word latitude is in the book in the inside cover. Super chat from Adrian and Brian. Thank you.
You know what, Adrian, thank you. And thank you for saying that about your daughter. I saw that note earlier, and it means a lot. So just because it's hard to get your opinion out there doesn't mean you shouldn't. And I say hello to your daughter.
Now, a couple of people are like, we're in late. Where was the location? If you guys want to get off because you're hungry. And
yeah,
tired
so
and
you guys are
else,
going to either Mike is going to restate or we're going to drop off and you guys can just replay the video. The video will be up. The chat will take a little bit to get up. It'll process and we'll see all of your lovely comments. There's actually a lot of positive ones. We talked about that today as we focus more on the negative, but there's a lot of positive comments. So I just want to say I appreciate all of you.
And Alan K says, he said no codes or ciphers. This is not a code or a cipher. Latitude, longitude is a well-known system of navigation. That's not a code or a cipher. And you could say, but a homophone, which is what he alluded to in Scrapbook 107, a homophone is like a code. I don't think so. I think that's different than a traditional code or cipher. What do you think?
So Indy is asking if I will bring her a stick from the location. That would be illegal. You cannot take anything out of the park. And so you have to go visit yourself and look at the sticks, leave them there and then go. But you can't take anything out of the park. So sorry.
What do you think, Justin, about these numbers in the poem being a code or cipher?
Well, that's somewhat subjective. When I think of code or cipher, I'm thinking more advanced algorithms, things that can quickly turn into a rabbit hole. In this case, we're talking about simple homophones. I wouldn't classify that as some sort of advanced code or cipher. But if you look at the literal definition of cipher, I suspect that this would be inclusive. But I don't think that's what FORREST meant when he said ciphers, if he ever did. I think he's thinking of something considerably more complex than this, right? This is very simple homophones.
I would agree with that, but it is subjective. I mean, you have to make your own decision. Like a lot of things that are, involved with that poem, you have to make your own decision. Backy says you have to suspend way too many already knowns for this unknown.
That's what I'm curious about. I noticed a few folks saying that this might not jive with some of the comments or quotes that we have from FORREST over the years. I'd be interested in hearing that. What conflicts with this line of thinking?
Because FORREST is a genius. If he double encoded his poem to contain hidden GPS coordinates and also 9 literal clues, 9 landmarks that you can find by following them, this will go down. This is bigger than Masquerade as far as a treasure hunt, in my opinion, if this is correct. And if the finder, I believe, owes it to everybody to come out and say if this is correct or not. It's a master puzzle, in my opinion. And congratulations to the finder. You figured it out and you got there before anybody else. So you deserve the treasure chest and what's in it. But yeah, if you want to stick around, Justin, go ahead. K-Pro, I know you want to get off. Go ahead.
Oh, yeah, I think everybody wants to go eat. I was just going to mention this whole paddle up line where you say add up. It's possible that the paddle might be the key word. I don't know. But to me, it's like, even if you ignore that, just put that aside and use simple homophones. You come up with a series of numbers. Now, the only trick here is that any numbers that appear on the same line, you just add them together. I don't think that's too much of a stretch. And it's also nice. I mean, it's somewhat coincidental. It could be coincidental, right? What do we end up with? 9 digits. We need 9 clues. These 9 digits form valid GPS coordinates in degrees and seconds, or in minutes and potentially seconds. And they happen to point to a spot that is accessible within the search area that is plausible. So, you know, take it as it stands.
Yeah, and don't believe it. If
Yeah.
you're like, this is just the biggest BS we've ever heard, that's fine. Everybody has a right to their own opinion.
I appreciate the skeptics. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm going to join them for dinner though, so I'll probably be
Thank you,
dropping
Justin.
off. But
Appreciate you coming on.
thanks,
you.
Mike.
And I
Appreciate
say
it.
congratulations. You're the third person to ever see the Forrest
Well-
Fenn, the Finder, and now you, K-Pro, and Cynthia. You were the third people to ever see the.
I don't know for
In my
certainty.
opinion.
Yeah, but it's possible.
Yeah.
Who knows? Yeah. Good night. See you guys.
Thanks, Justin. Well, there it is, everybody. All right, 3D Bronze to Super Chat. Code, a system of words, letters, figures, or other symbols substituted for other words, letters, especially for the purpose of secrecy. Okay, I take your point. Billy Price points out, the problem is someone had to solve and they went and took pictures, and then you guys went to his spot and matched it. But was that the finder's location or just a searcher who said news is coming? And I take your point as well, Billy. I will tell you this, the person who emailed us anonymously, we don't know who that person is. That person said they saw these pictures before it was announced on June 6th by Forrest Fenn. In other words, they're saying these pictures they sent us are not his pictures. They're from the finder, if that makes sense. And then we thought, okay, let's put that in the bin with everybody else saying different things. But what made us to look at it again is when he said there'll be news next week. And there was an article. Again, you guys take that for what it's worth. A lot of people are like, we have to say who it is. Well, that's the purpose of being anonymous. We don't have to say who it is, and we don't know who it is. If this person wanted to come out themselves and do this, they would have made a YouTube video themselves. For whatever reason, they want to stay anonymous, which they will, just like I'm assuming the finder wants to stay anonymous and probably will. And I guess that's their right. But me and K-Pro have a YouTube channel. We have an outlet for the searcher community. And when there's something that we think is valid, we're going to go live and talk about it. And if anybody's upset that we didn't think your solution was valid, it's our show and we get to pick and choose what we want to do. And you guys understand that. But like I said before, anybody can make a YouTube channel, and I encourage you to do it and give your point of view. 3D Bronze, I meant no disrespect. Yeah, no, I agree, 3D Bronze, and you're right. And that quote by Forrest was codes and ciphers won't help, right? Something like that. Cubic feet, square pound, he goes through a whole list of things. And I know everybody used to point out, but anagrams weren't in the list, so anagrams are in. So would a homophone be considered a code? It's subjective. You may think it is, you may think it's not. Okay, I'm not sure what's going on there in the chat, but I'll stay here and it's a place for people to talk. Hey, thank you, Jens. We appreciate you watching. Andre, thank you. It's interesting, and it's interesting to the point. And what's unbelievable is that Cynthia, Justin, and K-Pro were able to find the location based on a picture. Here, I'm going to show you guys. This picture was sent to us for anybody that joined late. This is the actual spot. This is where the GPS that's in the poem leads you. Shoshone Lake is right here. Old Faithful's right here. Firehole River's here. You know, Madison Campground's way up here. This is about an hour drive from West Yellowstone. The GPS coordinates in the poem, even if it's not exact, even if it's general location. What if Forrest was like, if you figure out the GPS coordinates, at least you're walking with confidence to here, to this general location. And then, yeah, it may take you a couple weeks to find it, you know, do whatever you do to find it, figure out what the blaze is, figure out the different things. I don't have pictures of the mark that was on the tree, unfortunately, but when K-Pro gets back, we are going to make a video with everything, which we'll have video. We got this from this anonymous source, and they basically said, this is where it was found. This is it. And we said, okay, you know, we kind of disregarded that. Like, okay, you know, how do you know? Let me zoom in here. I mean, does that look like the dirt? You know, the picture that was done. Does that look like the area? The picture that we're on Dale's vlog where they could have taken it out of here or here, moved it over, taken a picture. But that based off of this picture, K-Pro, Cynthia, and Justin were able to find it as just, and this is how it looks 4 months later, June, July, August, September, 4 months. This is how it looks 4 months later. And we can do a side by side and just see that it's the same. And the biggest thing is he sent us a kind of a wide open shot of the trees, and that's how they knew where to look. But it's just crazy. You see how this comes out? This comes out. This is a much zoomed in picture. This is a much zoomed out picture. But right here, these two coming out, how it goes across. But a lot of things happen in the 4 months from June in the middle of summer till now, which is fall, I guess you could say. But yeah, it's just crazy to me that they actually found the location. But they did. Billy is 100% correct. What did Billy have? Billy Price. Actually, I think this was leaker. Yeah, I don't know, Billy. I'm not going to speculate on who it is who sent us this stuff. We don't know who it is, and they have a right to their privacy, and we're not going to try and figure out who it is. So, sorry, Scott Free. I'm just seeing this now. Why does the dirt look moved? I don't know. Why you say that, Chasing Indy? I don't understand. There's probably a lot happening in this chat that I'm not familiar with or aware of. Yeah, you might like it. You might not like it. What was the blaze? In Justin's opinion, the GPS coordinates in the poem were the blaze because it says, if you've been wise and found the blaze. That almost makes it sound as if you should determine the blaze before you even leave. And Forrest Fenn was asked that question. And he thought about it, and somebody said, can you predetermine the blaze from the poem, or do you have to find it boots on the ground? He would not answer that question. He thought about it. It's a question on Jenny Kyle's site, one of the 6 questions. And he said, I've been sitting here thinking about it for 30 minutes, and I'm not going to answer. The other thing, yep, I will put them, Jerry. I'll put the coordinates in the chat. The other thing is there were 2 trees. And again, K-Pro's going to have video of all this, everybody. But there were 2 trees in between that log I showed you. There were notches or like a square cut out of those trees that faced each other. And when somebody asked him which way does the blaze point, north, south, east, west, Forrest said, I'm not going to take a radial, but it'll become apparent when you get there. Maybe that's because there were 2 blazes, everybody. What if you've been wise and found the blaze meant you could find either one? And since they point in different directions, he couldn't answer that question. This is all speculation on my part, but it makes a weird kind of sense. Well, he says it wouldn't be feasible to remove. Can the blaze be removed? And he said it would not be feasible. Remember? What does feasible mean? I think it means you're not going to cut down a tree in Yellowstone National Park. You're going to get in trouble if you cut down a tree in Yellowstone National Park. Is that could have been what he said? I don't know. Somebody asked him, is the blaze a single object? And he said, in a word, yes. To me, that there's one object doesn't mean there's more than one. They're the same thing. A notch in a tree or a scraping, a scar on a tree, however you want to, chop marks. Yeah, however you want to say what those are. I don't think that precludes them from being 2 of them, especially if what if something happens to this tree? There's another one. He had a backup. And that this thing is in between the 2 trees, we will find out when K-Pro gets back with her video. And we can figure that out then. But you know what? Love it, hate it. It sure is interesting to talk about, isn't it? In my opinion, I mean, it gives us a thing to talk about. Could this be the location? Could this be where Forrest Fenn wanted to go, back when he had cancer? What I have a question for all of you, if anybody knows, Shoshone Lake, is it mentioned in the Thrill of the Chase book anywhere? Is it mentioned in Too Far to Walk? Is it mentioned in Once Upon a While? Is it mentioned in any of the scrapbooks? Shoshone Lake, has Forrest ever mentioned it in something that he publicly put out? I would be interested to know that because I do not know the answer. If he did a scrapbook on it, if it's mentioned, I know Hegman Lake is mentioned a lot in the Thrill of the Chase. What was Shoshone Lake mentioned? Well, I was not there, so I can't really answer that. But what was the 200 foot and 500 foot from that location? Yeah, that's interesting. Is the location, and I said I would put the coordinates out. So, and I'm going to show you guys the poem and how you derive the coordinates from the poem as well. Again, you can watch our video that we did last night on this, and you make your own decision. Here we go. Casper to Shoshone. Oh, so in the Thrill of the Chase book, Minotaur, I believe you're saying he says Casper to Shoshone. And I believe that was the ride of Skippy where he made him get out of the car, right? It was that the drive that they did together. K-Pro should be back here, I think, by Thursday or Friday. And trust me, this weekend we will go live, or at least we will show the footage. Maybe we'll just premiere a video, but we will show a video of the actual location. Give her some time to get back and get things straightened out. But this weekend we will be uploading a video. I can promise you that. So Jens, why won't he be able to sell the chest now? I don't understand. Let's say that, okay, you know what I'm going to do, guys? First thing I'm going to do is make some coffee because I think we're going to be here talking about this for a minute. If there's anybody else that would like to come on the Zoom and discuss, I will open this up for people to come on and discuss. I'm not saying we're going to be here all night, but we can do maybe 45 minutes or so. So I'm going to take a break. I'm going to go make some coffee. We're going to come back. We're going to discuss on if this is correct. If we have blown open the location, what now does the finder do? Does that change anything they were going to do? Well, I can also show you how the coordinates were found in the poem. And if somebody really wants to come on here to talk about it and debate, as long as we keep it civil, I'm okay with that. I think the private Zoom that we do tonight may be a little bit different tonight. Would it be the Beacon Star? And we can still talk about Beacon Star, but I think we're going to be talking about this. So let me make some coffee and I'll be right back. Because of the legal, oh, I see, Jens, because of the legal circumstances. There are people that are of the opinion that if you find something in the park and return it to the rightful owner, you therefore did not have to turn it in. Is that true or not? I don't know. I've never lost anything or found anything in a national park, so I don't know. Chasing Indy says Shoshone was the physics solved. The lake warms when frozen and does a weird layer of warm waters. And again, if this is the location, we can backward engineer the clues. Valentine Goose on YouTube, he has a great video he put out this morning about what the home of Brown could have been based on this location. So check out Randy Pischel on YouTube, Valentine Goose. Well, I don't know, Jens. I don't know the legal ramifications. I wasn't there. I don't have the chest. I don't know who the finder is. I don't even know who sent us this information. And yeah, I have to admit it. I don't know that this information is 100% correct. Yeah, it's true. Nice. Jay, Minnesota, you said you were in this area. This was your solution. How many people have been on that trailhead, the Lacey Creek trailhead? How many people, if this is right, how close were you? You know what I mean? Yeah, I don't know, Christine. That could be. I don't know. The lake is not mentioned. Now, somebody said it is mentioned and somebody said it's not mentioned. But let me make some coffee. I'll be right back and let's discuss, guys. We can go through all the crazy theories. I will go through the poem and I'll show you guys from the beginning how you derive these numbers. Be right back. And thanks for tuning in. Okay, everybody. Thank you for that timeout. Okay, let's go through the poem real quick. Let me actually, I have like 30 emails. Okay, give me a second. So many, I'm probably not even gonna be able to see. Okay, let's go through the poem real quick. And you know what? You guys judge it for yourself. We have a video last night where we explained it, but let me go through it real quick. Let me find it. Let me find it. Because that's what we do on this channel. We talk about these things. We go over theories. We say, could it be? On this one, well, let's talk about, as I'm getting the poem ready, let's talk about the finder. Let's say this is correct. Somebody said, oh, he can never sell it. Well, the finder, I don't think was ever going to reveal the location or the solution. And maybe this is why. Maybe because it was found in the park and the finder was like, I'm not ever going to reveal it. And Forrest was like, yeah, okay. You know, it's going to give you some legal issues, going to give you some grief. Okay, I understand that. Give me a second to get the poem ready. I could see Forrest going, yep, it's your choice. I'll never say. Forrest never said. Unfortunately, somebody that somehow has some information, I don't know how, decided that it should be shared and put it out there. So now what does the finder do? Maybe the finder never comes out with a solution. Or maybe the finder, if we're wrong, well, then the finder should come out with a solution, especially if it's outside of the park, because then it proves we're wrong. It proves there is no legal issue because it was outside the park. Okay, that would be number one. I think this video would make the finder put out a solution if it is in fact outside the park, and this is incorrect. But again, it may just be they don't want to deal with people. They just want to remain anonymous. So let's show the poem. But I don't think it affects the sale. The Forrest Fenn's treasure is Forrest Fenn's treasure, regardless of where it was found. I think people are going to want to buy it that want it to buy it. I don't think it affects. Somebody said they're buying the solution too. I don't know about that. I think when that thing goes up for auction, it's just the chest. I don't think you get an explanation or a solution or a location. Okay, Outcast Searcher and everybody else. The reason we believe this is valid is because this anonymous person said next week there will be something from the finder, and the next week is when that article came out. That's why. Well, they could have just guessed. Yeah, they could have, except the GPS numbers are in the poem, and they lead to a location in Yellowstone National Park. And the pictures, and a big one, especially for Justin, is Tucker, the bronze sniffing dog, alerted that there was bronze in this location. That's kind of huge. Now, I know you guys could say, you know, whether you believe a dog can sniff bronze or not, that's up to you. But I think that's pretty huge. Like I asked Justin point blank, if your dog had not alerted, would you be as confident? And he said, no. If the dog hadn't alerted, I would not be so confident. The dog alerted. There was some bronze in this area. All right, this is what I'm going to do, everybody. This is what we're going to do. I'm going to go through the poem real quick and how you get the numbers, but I'm going to end this and start a new stream. I don't want this to be 8 hours long. If we could go live in a Zoom that everybody can join if they want and discuss, but we're going to make that a separate video. So everybody just check the Cowlazars channel when I go off, and about 15 minutes later, maybe a little bit longer, and this will be on YouTube. But usually we have a closed Zoom. And anybody that wants in on our closed Zooms, just email me at cowlazars@gmail.com, where we discuss treasure hunts, all different kinds of treasure hunts. But this Zoom will be on YouTube, and we can discuss. So let's go over the poem real quick, and then I'll end this. Here is Mr. Forrest Fenn's poem. So then it becomes, and again, you know what? I'm going to bring it up because it's important. Let me bring up Scrapbook 107. Because this is what, in this, for me personally, this is what kind of made me think it may be true because of this crazy scrapbook from Forrest. And you know what that means? It means Forrest was, in fact, giving hints through scrapbooks. Forrest was trying to communicate a message to us through these scrapbooks. Copious people wandering by that spot. It's just interesting, that spot. You think someone would pause for 2 seconds. There's seconds in latitude, longitude. And then there were 2 seconds in the coordinates in the poem, 2 numbers, I mean. Untangle the poor phone cord. Why would everyone stand there talking and twisting the thing in the first place? It's so jumbled, the sound probably gets distorted going through it. Is that a hint that we're supposed to listen to the poem and pull out the numbers? Too, far, to, walk, 2 and 2, effort, for, and effort. That, and then the poem itself says, "Hear me all and listen good." There's always a right way to do something and a wrong one. Right is misspelled. That's a homophone. When you spell it one way, but it means something else, that's a homophone. Maybe I'm just too meticulous, but for me, it's important to keep my priorities straight. Is he telling us the priority is to find the GPS coordinates before we go looking for the literal where warm waters halt, etc.? Please don't tell me I'm the only Homo sapien on the entire planet who cares about these things. Homophone, Homo sapien. If I'm trying to convey homophone without actually saying it, what word has homo in it other than Homo sapien and maybe, I don't know what other word. So Homo sapien, here's a big picture of a phone. Put it together, homophone. It's been a bad day. I mean, besides my hair, it's the last date to get my driver's license renewed or take both the stupid written test and the driver's exam. Just because I'm over 80, I have to do it every year. In my rush to get over, and this is a valid MVD, I forget what it stands for, motor vehicle department. That's right. In my rush to get over the motor vehicle department, I ran out of gas. It's right in the middle of the busiest street in town. And because I forgot to plug my idiot phone in, I had to just sit there until the honks brought every cop in town to my location. Location in quotes. We're looking for a location. I forgot to plug my idiot phone in. And how do the people find a phone? They use triangulation with GPS, right? You thought I'd robbed a bank or something. Well, you could say somebody robbed a bank when they found his treasure chest. It's that big of a deal. Again, this is all subjective. Forrest isn't here to ask. I don't plan to ever drive again. I'll just stay home and keep my eye on the telephone lines. The telephone lines, latitude and longitude lines. It's just, there's hints here to latitude, longitude, and homophone, in my opinion. And I didn't mean to stop sharing my screen. What do you think, Eric? Is that where it was found? Forrest Fenn's treasure chest? You think that's where K-Pro found it? The location? Yeah, okay. If it was in Fortnite, Eric would have won a long time ago. Okay, everybody, hang on. Hey, Mark Connor, you can think whatever you want, but it's my YouTube channel. I'm going to do what me and K-Pro think is right. But thank you for watching, though. We do appreciate it. So this is how it works. 1, 1. Let's change these to red. 1, 1. Eric. 1, 1. And a lot of people have brought this up years ago, 2015. 1, 1. Gone alone. Isa backwards is ISA. Isa Lake. Issa Lake. However you pronounce it. Another little indicator. Maybe. Maybe not. Okay. This stanza is, and you have to add these lines up. 2 equals a 2. 1 and 1 equals a 2. Nowhere else in the first stanza is there a number. Is there? I don't see a number in any of these words. Do you? And then if 1 is used here, in my opinion, to keep the pattern right, you've got to use 1 anytime else it's in the poem. And that would be right here. Here's another one. So that means this is also a number 1. You can't pick and choose, in my opinion. So this is a 1 equals 1. Let's go down. Begin it where warm waters halt. Take it. Now, begin it is important because begin it is saying this is where you start the latitude, longitude. This is where you begin it in the poem. But what about that number? We'll come back to that. Begin it where warm waters halt. Take it in the canyon down. But 2, make that red. There's a number 2. And 2 is a number 2. Isn't it interesting that in the first stanza, it's 1, 1. In the second stanza, it's 2, 2. Does that look like a pattern to anybody? Subjective. I know it's subjective. Okay. And then you add them together. But why? Cowlazars, why do you add them together? Well, 1, because 1, 1 and 2, 2 is not going to make sense for a GPS. But he gives us a little hint to why we add them up, and we'll go over that. Next stanza, for the meek. Remember, whenever there's a 4 or a 2, whenever there's a 1, it's got to count. Whenever there's a 4, that's got to count. That is a number. 4. And again, that's the only place. Okay. If you've been wise and found the blaze, look quickly down your quest to cease. There's another number 2. So we do have another number in the poem. If you've been wise, this is interesting. I'd never thought of it this way. Justin's theory is if you've been wise means the blaze is these GPS coordinates along with the physical blaze in the field. But there's a double meaning here, double meaning to the poem, which is genius. This is going to be up there with Masquerade as the smartest poem in the history of treasure hunts. 4, remember, whenever we see a 4, that's a number. Whenever we see a 2, that's a number. And we got to add those numbers together. So 4 plus 2 equals 6, right? 4 plus 2 equals 6. And then right here's a 1. So this is a 1. Now, hear me all and listen good. There's a 10 right here. List 10. Listen. Why do you show the poem to a child? Maybe he'd pick up on this. Maybe he'd say those sound like numbers. I don't know. Your effort. There's a 4 in effort. Right there. There's a 4. I wish Forrest was here to ask, but you know what? He may not answer. He may have still left it up to the finder. 2 equals 2. Forget about this right now. Now, how do we know to add them up? So we've got 1, 1, 2, 2, 4, 2, 4, 2, 1, 10, 4, and 2. How do we know to add them up? There'll be no paddle up your creek. Right here it says add up. You know, you can believe it or don't believe it. That's up to you. Add up. Is paddle the key word? I don't know, but it could be. Add up. Add what up? Add up what's on the line. 1 plus 1 is 2. 2 plus 2 is 4. 4 by itself is 4. 2 by itself is 2. 4 plus 2 is 6. 1 is 1. 10 is 10. 4 is 4. And 2 is 2. And when you add those together, starting at begin it, because he tells us start it at begin it, 4, 4, 2, 6. 4, 4, 2, 6. Now, what Justin was saying is forget about the seconds. So let's take those out for a minute. And let's just go with what the poem's telling us from begin it. 4, 4, 2, 6. 4, 4, 2, 6. And the question mark is what tells us to switch from latitude to longitude. This is before the question mark. 4, 4, 2, 6 is the latitude, if I have that right. I get latitude and longitude mixed up all the time. After the question mark, you switch to longitude. 1, 10, 4, 2. 1, 10, 4, 2. North and west. Why north and west? You know, you could try and say, well, cease, or you could try and say it says it in the poem. But I just say because north and west is what's in the 4-state region. If you were to do east or south, I don't believe it lands anywhere. It's over in China somewhere, right? Other side of the world. Somebody can verify that. And this is just using decimal degrees. I think I have that right. Watch Randy Pitchell's video where he explains it. Decimal degrees. Valentine Goose on YouTube. Yeah, Stephen Buckle, that's a good point. And we actually debated this. Stephen Buckle says, here's an idea. When Forrest said, just leave my bones, there could have been a 1 in bones. If you guys know the story, and let me take some coffee, and we're going to end it, and we're going to do the Zoom real quick. Forrest said there was an earlier version of the poem. And in that version, he said something like, just leave my bones and go in peace, or something like that. Something about bones. And that could be there was a 1 in the bones. He could have been playing with words. Yes.
Maybe there's a bone where he hid the treasure.
Maybe there's a bone where he hid the treasure. You know what? There was a stick, and wouldn't it have been interesting if there was a bone instead of a stick? So I think maybe you were on the right track. It was just a stick instead of a bone. That's good. Give me 5. You're going to be a treasure hunter when you get older. I know it. Yeah, you're right. Maybe he was playing around with the words that sound like numbers. Bone, leave my bones, etc. It's a theory. So again, here it is. Somebody asked me to put it in the chat. Here it is. You guys can look it up. It's just interesting to me that, and here's the other thing, guys, 1 per line. This one is an addition. This is 1 plus 1, 4, 4, 2, 4 plus 2, 1, 10, 4, 2. There's 9, guys. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 9 lines that have numbers, 9 clues. Isn't that a weird coincidence? Figure out which lines have the clues, figure out what the 9 clues are. The first clue is begin at where warm waters halt, right? And that wood is the first clue out in the wild, but this is where you start to get the latitude, longitude. And maybe that's why the not far, but too far to walk. Maybe that's not literal. Maybe that was just there so that 2 + 2 could equals 4. Maybe that's why things are worded a certain way in the poem. But yeah, there it is. 4426 north, 11042 west. I think that's it. That's just my opinion, of course. I think that's it. Thank you, Czar. I appreciate that. Thank you, everybody who did a super chat. Me and K-Pro, we have a show about the treasure hunting amusement park. And what that is all the treasure hunts that are ongoing and that ever were are in an amusement park. Forrest Fenn was the big roller coaster, was the big granddaddy of them all that all of us rode it so much. Some of us a lot more often than others. That one's closed down because we have a winter, but there are a lot of other treasure hunts in the amusement park. We go live every Monday and Thursday night at 7 p.m. Pacific. Subscribe and hit that bell for notify all if you want to know when we go live. There's other treasure hunts out there, other treasure hunts we're going to be talking about. Email me, cowlazars@gmail.com, and let me know what you think of this solution. Again, me and K-Pro did not come up with this. This was emailed to us from an anonymous source. The anonymous source said, next week there will be news from the finder. And the next week the article came out. Coincidence? Maybe. Intentional? He knows what he's talking about? Maybe. This was his solution, not the finder's solution? Maybe. You have to decide that for yourself. Okay, everybody, we appreciate you watching. And yeah, if you want to be in the Zoom, email me and we'll start up a Zoom and we're going to go live here in about 10 minutes and we can discuss it. So there we go. And just so you guys know, I'm not fooling around. Hey, look at that, dark. Just so you guys know, I'm not fooling around about the Treasure Hunt Amusement Park. Check this out.
It's open when it's light, it's open when it's dark. It's the Treasure Hunt Amusement Park. Masquerade and Forrest Fenn are closed, but there are plenty more rides than just those. There's Beacon Star and Treasure Man, Vegas Die and Oak Island. Give them a try and you'll be smiling. This place never closes, that's for certain. There's always a reason to keep searching. Boots on the ground, look, look, look. Your ticket to the ride is the book. The dream of the treasure is the hook. The dream of the treasure is the hook. Keep searching forever, start searching now. Grand adventures with K-Pro and Cow. The secret, a gypsy's kiss, the whistle pig. Come watch our show, win a prize, little or big. This place never closes, that's for certain. There's always a reason to keep searching. Boots on the ground, look, look, look. Your ticket to the ride is the book. The dream of the treasure is the hook. The dream of the treasure is the hook.
Time for some fun. Love us or hate us. I'll tell you one thing. We have a lot of fun. We have a lot of discussion. We'll see you guys next time. Forrest Fenn, I think you're up there smiling down at everybody right now that the location is out. And I say thank you for the thrill of the chase.